Hello and welcome to this short video on the open pool exams and the large-scale study on education. What is the open pool exam method? It consists of first creating a pool of questions from the teacher to the students, and that pool is openly accessible to the students. And when creating it, the teacher should follow the pool's principles. The first principle is the promise. The teacher has to promise, ideally at the beginning of the course, to the students that at least a certain percentage of the exam comes from the pool questions. This makes the pool questions immediately relevant to the students. Operational. The idea is that a course has certain learning goals, and all of those learning goals should be captured by the pool questions. In other words, the questions on the exams that are not from the pool, so-called surprise questions, those should also be answerable for the students if they understood and studied the pool questions. Ongoing. The ongoing principle says that the pool questions should be taught and integrated into the course. That could be, for instance, through homework, through lectures, reading material. All of this should be somewhat aimed to be able to answer the pool questions. And the content of the course should not be independent of what the pool questions are. Limited. This principle says that the number of questions should be in such a form that it's possible for the students to study all of them. So there shouldn't be too many, and this gives a direct study target for the students. Of course, that's in conflict with operational, where you want to cover all the learning goals, so there needs to be a balance between these two principles. And the last principle is sense-making. That means that the questions in the pool, they're not so much designed to test the students' understanding, but to help them to make sense of what's going on. So a good question for an exam could be a multiple choice question, but it's not necessarily a sense-making question because it doesn't encourage the student to understand the content of the course. So a question of the type, please explain, or what is the reason behind certain choices is better than to ask the student for doing some calculations. So what's the aim of this study? We want to figure out whether and how open pool exams are improving learning outcomes. We have some preliminary results, but that's the underlying question that's driving us. So we really want to know whether this improves learning for students. We do the study for the maybe all studies that are done on teaching. We want to do better teaching as teachers, and we want to use evidence-based methods. That's kind of difficult in teaching, but at least we try. That's why we do a study. We already have some existing data. So in one course, we asked a survey, and the students had to say to which degree they agreed. And here I only show a small set of the data, but it's already very promising. We asked about the popularity of the method. And here the overwhelming majority of the students said that they find it popular. There's around 20% who is neutral about it, and only 1 or 2 students who did not like the method. So that's a good sign. If students want to be encouraged to learn something, they should like the method that's used. So this is maybe the underlying theory that we have, which kind of aligns with popularity, namely studying the open pool questions is a good time investment. So this shows that maybe students are encouraged to use these open pool questions to study, because, yeah, on the one hand, it may be really worth for them because it's in the exam. So maybe that may be one extra incentive to study. But from the interviews, we also see that they see value in for the other surprise questions of the exam as well, and to reach the learning goals of the course in general. One of the biggest criticisms is that students would be encouraged to do rote memorization, to maybe memorize a solution without understanding it once they've given some set of questions in advance. Students push back on this very hard, both on interviews as well as in the survey. So here we asked, I prefer to understand the solution to the open poll questions rather than memorizing the solution. And 75% of the students strongly agree to it. Then something like 25% of the students agree with it, and only like a small number of students either disagrees with it or is neutral about it. So students seem to really not like to do rote memorization, and in general not to do it and not wanting to do it. So this gives us some indication of that the method works, but in general we want to try the method in many courses to have a robust data set, because maybe it works for one teacher and not for the other. So for which teachers will it work and which effects will have, this is the aim of the study. What data we want to collect. So we're kind of sparse in the amount of data we collect. We do some exit survey in the last lecture. We will collect exam grades, and we will do individual interviews. This survey will not take long, and the individual interviews are only for those students who volunteer for it. And we also will do an interview with a teacher. A lot of data we also collect that's aggregated, so not of individual students. So we only know, let's say, the average grade of a course. And for those, we don't need to ask for consent, but for all other data, we will ask for consent. And that was the short summary of our study, and I thank you for your attention.